Right, take one. Jesus Christ. So for our experiment, we're going to test the relevance if in an in-game scenario, can a softball pitch break a batter's helmet?
Okay, so we're basically breaking down our experiment into two different experiments. We're going to test how fast a softball can be pitched naturally and how fast it can be pitched by a machine pitcher. And then we're going to test the force, how much force can be generated by both, and kind of measure the impact. Okay, so for this experiment, we need to use a softball and we need to get the measurements to make sure that all of our calculations are accurate. So this one is 182 grams.
For the course of the experiment, we're using a radar gun to measure the velocity of a softball.
Did it work?
Yeah, you got to kick it 22 miles per hour.
Ready?
Yes, sir. 90. Just to record it.
Also, we have an hour before we have to meet with
27.
I'm on my knees.
I mean,
What? Well, I wasn't.
it seems slower.
Currently, our ace pitcher is warming up to get ready to break some drywall and plywood, or at least attempt to. Joe's taking one for the team, putting his life on the line, trying to catch this straight fire. Joe, how's it going? And as you can tell from that pit of him trying to return the ball, it's going fantastic. Action.
Wow.
Yep. It's not broken. It's lodged all the way through. We have complete penetration.
That's pretty cool.
Science.
Good job. Good job.
Good.
Yep. Ah!
Alright, so now that we've seen what sort of damage it can do against drywall, we're going to see if we can do anything to some plywood, see if it'll break.
Alright, plywood, take one.
It looks like you can't really tell where it hit. This thing is unbreakable, indestructible.
Public service announcement, kids. Always clean up your mess after science.
Just whistle while you work, and cheerfully together we can tidy up the place.
Where's the perpendicular?
Alright, so for the second part of this experiment, experiment 2, we will be testing how much force is required to crush a helmet. We'll be testing this by compression force. Once we get those numbers, we'll then compare it back to experiment 1 and see how much force it actually takes to break a softball helmet.
Are you sure you don't mind me breaking this?
No.
Man, I can't even get up on it. It's bending like crazy. I really haven't put all my weight on it yet.
Go for it. I have
Go for
20
it.
helmets.
Yeah, so it takes all my weight for a little, as long as I can balance.
Start from the beginning. We got 55 pounds first. Right there. Sweet spot.
Oh, I hear something.
So, after stacking 242 pounds on this baby, it's got an initial crack here and quite possibly one back here.
Alright, so to see if a softball can damage a helmet, we have to take a few calculations. So we have to calculate the momentum. The momentum is mass times velocity. So we have to take the speed of the pitch, which is on average about 60 miles an hour, convert that to meters per second at 26.82, and then take the weight of the softball, which is about 0.191 kilograms. And then we have to calculate the force that it's coming at the helmet at. And to get force is the change in momentum over the change in time. So to get momentum of the softball, we have 0.191 times 26.82, and we get 5.123 kilogram meters per second. Stacking weights on top of a helmet, we found out it takes about 110 kilograms to cause damage to a helmet, cause it to break, cause it to crack, cause it to warp. So we need to convert that into newtons, which is multiplying that 110 kilograms by 9.8, which is the speed of gravity on Earth. We have about 1078 newtons. And then we tie that together with the previous calculations to find the change in time that it would take for the impact to cause damage to the helmet. So we have the 1078 newtons is equal to 5.123 kilogram meters per second over the change in time. So since we're solving for the change in time, do a little bit of algebra. We have the change in time equals 5.123 divided by 1078, which is 0.00475 seconds, or 4.75 milliseconds. So the softball would have to be hitting the helmet for less than 4.75 milliseconds.
So what we mean by a softball has to be hitting the helmet for less than X amount of time is most people tend to think an impact is an instantaneous action, which means it takes 0 seconds, which you can't have 0 seconds on a denominator when calculating for force. So we took a high-speed camera, dropped a softball from 2 feet, and hit a helmet, and you can see in the shot it takes 20 milliseconds of contact on the helmet before it bounces off. So if a softball was to break a helmet at 60 miles an hour, it'd have to be taking less than 4.75 milliseconds to hit the helmet.
I'm going to start warming up her pitching arm so that she can be throwing the fastest she can so that we can see what will happen when she hits a helmet.
Ripped his hand off.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
This is where the ball has been making its impact. Throw it a couple more times and see if we can break it.
All right.
So right now, we're cooking it up to the pitching machine up to about 76 miles per hour, which is about the top that a professional pitcher can throw, and see if a realistic arm speed can break the helmet. After that, we're going to crank it up, if it doesn't break, to as high as we can get it and see if we can get this thing to break.
Okay.
Solid contact.
Solid.
I'm ready.
Bounce away. 3, 2, 1.
Well, it looks like we cracked the trombone case. Sorry, Superfly.
So, our heads are protected because of what we like to call the crumple zone. So, the path of energy first comes into the helmet. The energy is dispersed throughout 2 layers. The first layer being the hard polymer layer, then your second layer, which is the hard padding, and then finally into the pillow padding. The energy is taken through these and spread out across the whole of the helmet, protecting our brains and making sure we don't die or get concussed. So here's what the helmet actually looks like. As we said, you have your hard outer plastic layer, your hard padding, and your soft pillow padding for comfort. Now when the force of impact does hit, like that, these hard padding in the shell absorbs it a little bit, slowing the energy down, and the force that doesn't cause, so the force doesn't directly hit you in the head, and it isn't absorbed by this hard padding and plastic shell. Because the helmet didn't shatter but did crack, this myth is plausible.